Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom, the walking, talking encyclopedia. Electrocardiograph ECG, an integrated perfect human electrocardiograph, is what we are going to talk about. My mission, the impeccable wisdom, knowing which everything is fully known. My greatest discovery is Divyank, the divine design of nature with which the perfect objects of the universe are designed and created. Divyank is the reward of 60 years of integrated education. Impeccable wisdom is enlightening, and integrated knowledge is empowering. Let me start. Two videos earlier, I discussed about my first panic attack way back in 1984 in Chennai when I started my new building, new pharmaceutical company, and continuing with my medical profession, my training in other processes and associations. At that particular stage, when I got up at night, perfectly fine, took cold water, I had my first panic attack, and that was the first time I realized that I'm prone for Kundalini syndrome, hypertension, tachycardia, which is associated with Udana Prana of Kundalini syndrome. At that stage, I did not realize, but today I know that was the beginning, and that opened my eyes. And after that, Professor Dr. N. Sivakadaksha, a good friend of mine and leading cardiologist, great respect for him, he put me onto tranquilizers. I took for a month and two. Then I decided, no, I'm not going to take for the rest of my life. I'm not going to be under any drug of any nature for whatever reason. I stopped. And it is 40 years, I have not touched, and I don't intend teaching for the rest of my life. That's it. Second, now having done that 21 years later, in 2005, I get my first heart attack in Jammu. But what happened? 2000, my first son Avinash left for America for MS, and second son left for MS PhD in 2004. And having seen both my sons have left for higher education to America, and they are not going to come back to India for whatever they have found their subjects, and I want them to concentrate on the subject they like so that they can make a beautiful future for themselves. And I'm glad. First, Avinash is settled in Canada. Second one is in America. Both are doing extremely well. And I'm satisfied that I ran 25 years of pharmaceutical industry, or 30 years hospital, to give them the options in case they failed. Since they found time had come for me to enough is enough, so I can stop. My process of stopping clinical hospital of 30 years and 25 years Akhand Pharma to an end in 2005. 1 year it took me to settle everything and settle everybody and let everybody go happily. And 2005 is when I decided that I'll go to Bangalore, National Institute of Medical Sciences. I've already explained. And things did not work out. So I had to go to Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University on the advice of Dr. Karan Singh. And after meeting Professor N.K. Bansal, who was a Vice Chancellor, he was within few minutes, he immediately said, you please come, join, and this is what it is. So I think that was a very good opening. Came back to Bangalore, one of the things, came to Chennai for some time, and then left for Jammu and joined Sri Mata Vaishno University on November 22nd, 2005. And within a month of this, on the campus, I had some problem, but the next day I went to Jammu to stay with my elder brother, and I'm used to going to morning walk around 3:30, 4 o'clock every day in Sri Mata University. I've been doing that ever since. But I didn't realize, having lived in Chennai for so many years, that I would find it difficult to get up in the morning and have something which was least expected. I do not know whether it is because of that or something else. But whatever happened, it was a good time for me to get a heart attack and say, wake up, now it's time for you to do things systematically. I got up early in the morning, went to toilet to have bath before I could go for walk. I started feeling compression in my chest and started sweating and told my nephew there's something wrong. So with him, I went to Government General Hospital, Jammu, got an emergency treatment, took all the tests. ECG had shown the changes, and I was admitted in ICU for complete observation, treatment, and management. Everything was done, and that day there was no problem. The next day morning, when all the attending medical professional cardiologists came to see me, they were surprised to find me. I am as perfect as they would expect a perfect person to be. At that particular juncture, also I had the pleasure of meeting my own nephew, Dr. Narinder Mohan, who is the leading gynecologist of Jammu. He said, "What, uncle?" I said, "Don't worry. My work has not started. This is not going to be. This is just a emergency, nothing to worry about it. Let me go through the treatment and see things and how it can help me to thereafter." After going through the whole thing, everything was discharged. Then I spoke to my own friend and Seva Kadakshan, and he says, "You come to Chennai, have angiography, angioplasty into him, and be perfectly happy for the rest of your life. You don't have to worry about it." After coming to Chennai, on 1st January itself, I had my angiography and next day angioplasty, and my routine tests were done, and my cardiograph showed that my ejection fraction had come down to 46%. And today I have as good as 61%. Everything is as normal as I would be when I was 21. As a matter, this has been a good wake-up call for me. How I have done in the last 40 years to treat my heart, or after heart attack, having angiography, angioplasty, everything. Today I don't even need to take medicines. I'm not taking a single medicine for all recommended by different doctors. I found they were much more problematic than being without drugs. I'm not going into details of that, but today I'm not taking medicine. But with the age, instead of reducing, all the cardiophysical fixes become as normal as when I was 21. And I've seen the change over the last 30 years with my PhD work and EEG and other things, and I'm glad I have been a good example how to use Ayurvedic knowledge, modern medical, perfect anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and treatment, and of course, 10 stages, Akhand Yoga, and all the things which I've developed on my own have helped me to become perfectly normal. I can say we can reverse aging provided you are vegetarian. Do not take any drugs, do not take medicines, do not do anything, but you are very active, getting up in time, sleeping in time, using 18 hours work consistently, conscientiously, and effortlessly. You can do a wonderful job. And my life has been fit of that. And that is the reason why I'm talking about this particular heart attack or the first panic attack, and then saying in 80s, 40 years ago, going up to third or fourth floor without lift was an effortful job. I could feel the stress and strain. Now I'm staying in 6th floor. Sometimes I go up to 8th floor effortlessly, continuously without having any effort. Can you believe 40 years later, you are literally running, not walking? I think that is what idea of making this is to show what exactly I kept my eye on and what I'm trying to show. And this video is primarily to show what kind of EEG you should look for, what are the things which are essential, what is required and what not required. From that attempt, let's go to, this is a typical ECG video with P, Q, R, S, T, U waves. If you can maintain this picture as such all your life, particularly lead 2 and all the major factors, if you can maintain this, thou shalt have no problem at all. And it is easy. A person with a heart attack with a problem is able to maintain this for 20 years without taking medicines, just with diet control, exercise, and leading a normal as if nothing has ever happened. If I can do it, I'm sure everybody else who hasn't suffered angiography, angioplasty, heart attack, infarction, or otherwise. I do have infarction, but that is nothing to me. It's absolutely nothing. Anyway, This is the ECG which I want everybody to have. Heart rate 72, blood pressure 120 by 74, cardiac output normal, all the biophysical normal, hemoglobin normal, RBC normal, all the biochemistry normal. If you can maintain that as you grow older, and I can tell you whether you're in 60s, 70, 80, 90, hundreds, you can still have the biophysical parameters when you had 21 for the rest of your life if you really make a conscious effort. Body follows, body does not deteriorate. Our willingness not to move with the body in the right way is responsible for all the deterioration we go through. We need to be physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, otherwise be perfect human beings rest of life, and that's it, and nothing less, nothing more. And that is how I have achieved this particular thing. Now let's understand the concept a little more in detail. I have told you understanding cardiac cycle and ECG is very important. You can see the ECG on three sides, and you can say atrium is the upper two lobes, and there are two lower lobes, ventricles. Atrial systole is 0.1 second and diastole is 0.7 second and follows the earth element as a reservoir, and that has to be maintained. It's only during atrial systole the blood from atrium is pushed into the ventricles. Rest it flows automatically or does not flow. And ventricle 0.3 seconds is contraction, 0.5 is dilatation. You can see in this, if you can maintain that perfect, and all the four ventricles perfectly normal, ventricles are normal, modes are normal, valves are normal, everything is normal, you will have the perfect ECG on all the sides throughout cycle without any problem, and that should be the objective. Then let's understand the same thing little more in detail. Same cycle of events per heart is 0.8 seconds. Contraction is and distraction are two phases. Atrial systole I've spoken, ventricular systole. If this ratio is maintained as you have seen in this particular picture, thou shall have no problem whatsoever for rest of your life to maintain your contraction completely normal for rest of your life. That's it. Ventricle, that same ventricle, now I'm going to explain how this is to be followed systematically, keeping cardiac cycle in mind. P wave is the atrial diastole. That means when SA node is contracted, ventricle atrium start contracting. You have SA nodes and then you have three auricle velicles. They make sure that contraction of the auricle takes place during that particular phase, and then events start taking place. QRST is due to the ventricular systole, which is followed by AV node and ventricle, how they contract, and this will be a next 9 phases, that is first 3 phases. And during this you can find all the contractions. QRS has R as this and T as that. These are two contractions which have to be important. R is contracted with the ventricle contraction and this auricle contraction, and then this is how systolic during ventricular diastole U takes place, and I will not go into detail at this juncture. Let's not confuse. Let's make one. SA node, P wave, AV node, and then QRS, T wave. Then comes the ventricular diastole, which is the third phase, and that goes for another 12 squares, what you can see in this particular thing. But out of this, there will be a part on the backside as well as this part. Now, impeccable wisdom in this is if you can maintain heart rate of 72 or below 72 for the rest of your life, you should have no problem whatsoever. But don't let it go beyond 72, come what may, except when you're doing exercises or you are moving with physical activity. That is only message which I want everybody to keep it. Keep vagotomy, keep vagus under predominant. Don't let sympathetic system stimulate. Because whenever their heart rate increases, it is not the ventricular systole which is disturbed. It is ventricular diastole which is reduced. And incidentally, left atrium of the heart, which gets affected during heart attack, is supplied for the vessels directly from left coronary artery during diastolic phase, not during systolic phase. Because during systolic phase, blood cannot come out at all because they are compressed. Only diastolic phase, this is compressed, and blood can come out and can supply the cardiac muscles clearly and effectively. That is something which I want everybody to remember. You need to keep your ventricle relaxation phase perfect. Your heart rate should be below 70. Maintain it as much as possible and don't let it go beyond that. If you can maintain that, except for exercises or when you're doing straight, you're fine. And heart also at this juncture, let me tell you, unlike skeletal muscles, heart cardiac muscles use fatty acids, not glucose or fatty acids for energy use. And fatty acids can produce 2.25 times more ATP than carbohydrates and proteins. For example, 1 gram of carbohydrate, 1 gram of protein can produce 4 kilocalories. But 1 gram of fatty acid can produce 9 kilocalories. But how does it do? The formula of fatty acid is as good as carbohydrate. First one to be produced by nature is carbohydrate, C6H12O6. This is a formula for carbohydrates. But when it comes to the fat, it is the oxygen which is taken out of the formula. CH2 ratio is maintained, but oxygen content having equivalent to C6 is reduced for the entire thing to be at O2 only. And they have removed oxygen to bring back oxygen to produce beta oxidation to produce more ATP. That's why beta oxidation, Agni element, fire is all associated with oxygen. That is again a message which I'm trying to give it to everybody. Have your RBC count more than 5 million per cubic millimeters of undiluted blood and hemoglobin at 16 grams per 100 ml. You have more than enough oxygen, thou shalt not suffer from at all. And that is first thing important. That's why pranayama plays a very important role in Akhand Yoga. Having understood that, I think you can clearly see if oxygen content is good, hemoglobin content is good, RBC content is good, and there is no block in the heart, and heart is able to use fatty acid to produce more than enough ATP, your heart can function without any problem from the time it started pumping till you die, and you should have no problem whatsoever. You should have not less of energy, nothing of that. And that's the message which I'm giving you to this everyone. If you can maintain that for the rest of your life, thou shalt have no health issues at all. You will be physically healthy, emotionally healthy, mentally healthy, religiously healthy, spiritually integrated, and you will be one with the entire universe like a perfect human being ever lived. And if everything is done with Divyank, thou shalt have no problem for the rest of your life. Having explained that in detail, let's move on to the next picture. In the next picture, I have shown that sympathetic system should come to play a role only in case of emergency. And sympathetic system is associated with Kundalini syndrome, is something which I have already explained. I do not want anybody to suffer from Kundalini syndrome. Without having Kundalini to play a role and play a role to increase your blood pressure, increase your this and Samana prana to Udana prana and all kinds of things to going to peristaltic, becoming anti-peristaltic and going against the nature is not what spirituality is about. Spirituality is to live in tune with yourself, live in tune with the world, live in tune with everything without having any problem. Satchit Anand, blissful conscious state 24/7 is the objective of Akhand Yoga. And all the 10 stages will give you that. In that, Kundalini syndrome does not come to play. Sympathetic should not come unless until there is no other go. It should be there only to mobilize oxygen and glucose and water content so that your homeostasis is maintained. Not for anything more than that. If you can do that for 24/7, thou shalt have no problem. Having explained the sympathetic system, next one that vagus predominance is more important than sympathetic. If vagus predominates, your heart rate is going to come down. As a note, and heart will be around 60 to 70. If you can maintain that at rest, go comfortably. Have your blood pressure 120 by 74, mean arterial pressure 93, blood volume 5 liters, hemoglobin, RBC, oxygen content, everything perfect. There is no reason for you to fall sick physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, otherwise. But unfortunately, we are consuming many of things which we were not expected to consume. As a medical doctor, one thing I'm happy. I know what is absolutely essential. I use only that. Anything which is not, I don't use it. And that's it. If we do that, we can lead a perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise life for the rest of our life. And that is the objective of this particular video. To conclude, the concept is maintain your heart rate less than 72, keep vagostom complete, keep sympathetic system under, keep blood volume normal, keep blood pressure 127, keep all the biophysical matters as perfect as Divyank. Thou shalt have no difficulty whatsoever to suffer from Kundalini syndrome or any problem thereafter. There should not be a need to take any of the medicines which are recommended for that. Although I had my operation 19 years back, but I don't do anything of that nature today. I don't need even single medicine to take care of my heart, and I'm perfectly fine. Coming to the last stage, I'm not going to talk much. I think I've already explained everything with respect to the ECG and its function. If you can maintain that rest of your life, blood pressure, blood volume, hemoglobin, RBC, concentration, oxygen uptake, fatty acids, thou shalt have no problem. Having explained that, let me say it has been lovely sharing my experience with the kind of things which I've done in the last 19 years for the love of it, or maybe 40 years from the first panic attack of Kundalini syndrome to this attack. I think it's been a lovely journey. Anyway, thank you very